Hey, what's up, everybody? This is our Sunday edition, of course, of the Just Saying podcast. Of course, I am Furman Jackson, along with my teammate, my partner in crime, the chick herself, Larissa Lowe. What's going on?
What's happening, everybody? Um, Thank you, Darius, for joining our talk this Sunday. We appreciate you coming on the show. We have some good things for you guys. I'm gonna let my co-host this week because I talk a lot. I'm gonna let him explain what we are going to be discussing today.
Okay. We're gonna be talking about mental health, and we're gonna be talking about the incident that happened with the football player that played for the Dallas Cowboys, who actually took his own life earlier this week at the age of 24 years old. He died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Apparently, he was chased by the police, from what it was said, and fled his car. Then they found his car, and but they ended up finding his body, and they found where he took his own life at the age of 24. Apparently, with his girlfriend, that he has was dealing with mental health, and he sent out a group text to his family that he wanted to end it all. And I thought this was a very, very touchy, not very touchy, but something that hits home with a lot of people, because at a young age of 24, that's young for this young man to actually take his life. And we never know what people dealing with. And we could be smiling on the outside, but on the inside, we're hurting, we're, all kind of stuff. And that's what we're going to talk about. Addressing mental health. What can we do to learn from this? How we need to talk about this, how we need to approach things when we're going through things mentally, and so forth. So that's what we're talking about this afternoon here on our Sunday conversation on Just Saying. And we know that me and Larissa, we worked law for what she recently left law enforcement and dressing off into another career path. But we have worked with a lot of mental health inmates that are incarcerated. And we know that mental health plays a huge role, not just for people that's incarcerated, but for any and everybody. And we know that there are hotlines in place for an individual to call to someone. How do we go about doing this? How do we address this? How do we deal with this? So, Lo, what you want to say about this?
Well, so speaking of our professional background, I have been associated with law enforcement for over 2 decades. When I first started, I would say the inmates that came in, a lot of them were being charged for like petty crimes. I have noticed, I would say there was an increase of inmates. I could tell they were changing, like just people that were coming in, people that, things that they were dealing with, and how it affected them. Um, I can tell that there was a shift in the change of their mindset, so to speak. That happened 05-ish, I would say. Now, the facility that we worked in was always deemed as a mental health facility, but now you can definitely tell. Um, I think that there, because of the lack of funding that especially Texas have for mental health, I think that is one of the major reasons of why we have the problem we have today. When you look at a lot of people who have been put in a situation of homelessness, for example, I've noticed, and I'm only speaking, I can just only attest from personal experience. I'm speaking of people that have been arrested and that have come inside the jail. A lot of people that we have come in contact with did suffer from mental health issues. Um, and the main place that they seem to always get help at was MetroCare. If you live here in the DFW area, you know that MetroCare is a facility that is associated with Parkland. It's associated with a lot of people that is on the outside who who get help as far as mental health is concerned. But that's only one place that I know of. You know what I'm saying? And when you ask just a, the common person, if you ask just a person who don't know, they don't know at all. So you have to ask yourself, like, okay, so what facilities do we have? You know, they used to have what was that? Oh crap, I can't think of the name of the facility. They used to have like Green Oaks that was there available. And these are in Parkland, it was available. And these are places that when you are going through an acute crisis, you were able to go to. But now you really cannot. Like, who do you call? I remember years ago, and this is just another personal testimony. A family member of mine was going through a psychosis, and at the time, a mobile mental health unit available. So we were able to get him help. Actually reach out to that mobile unit to see if it was still available, because right now I am trying to get my bachelor's in psychology. It's not available. So, you know, that has been, God, you know, when I think about these players, like today's hot topic on Marshawn, when I think about how young he was, and just people in general who suffer through, you know, these mental health crises, who do they turn to? How, where can they actually get help from? You know, people are like, well, you can always use your insurance. A lot of people don't realize, they don't know how to even um, put themselves in a direction of that connection. You know, like I know, Furman, in the field that we were in, if you were going through a mental health crisis, you couldn't tell nobody. And you still really can't tell anyone, because it will affect your job. It will affect how it kind of will. Let's just put it this way: you won't be fit for duty. You won't be fit for duty. They say, hey, we want to help you, but then they don't. So I think a lot of people and our people that are going through um, personal issues, they just they don't know how to get the help that they need. That's basically where I'm coming from. They don't know how to get the help that I need, and I feel so sad for this young man's family, because we don't know what he was going through. You know, with the change of weather, your mind changed with it. You know what I'm saying? We have no idea. We have seen the increase of mental instability within professional players that has Zoom increased over like tenfold, you know, whether or not it's CTE that has caused them problems, or just, you know, the affliction of having to go from having all the success and fame and money to having nothing, you know, because that can definitely affect you. I remember a player, because I used to coach a long time ago. But I remember a young man, he was really good. I tell you, that hurt his mind. I could see how much that hurt him, and how it created such a mental instability within that young man. It was very heartbreaking. It was very heartbreaking. I was just so sad for this. I was so sad for him, because I was like, golly, I used to tell him, like, don't let that just define who you are, because you're so much more. But it's only so much one person can do, because like with anything, it takes a village. It takes everybody. Having a good support system is that is hard to come by these days. Um, and when you have a good support system, you got to say, Lord, thank you. Because if you don't have one, Jesus. Coach, what you think?
Uh, y'all, you said a whole mouthful. Like I was writing notes, and I was sharing, before we got on, is that like a lot of men, we don't have safe spaces. We don't have that safe space to vent because, not many people know how to deal with a man who vents without labeling said man weak.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so it's like we taught to suck it up, and be a man, like real men don't cry. And so what that does is that naturally teaches us how to not know we don't know how to deal with the emotions inside of us now. It's like because our emotions to we've attached our emotions to femininity,
Mm-hmm.
I can't cry because it's a woman thing. What I'm
Mhm.
saying? I can't vent because it's a woman thing. And so now we haven't learned how to deal with these negative or unwanted emotions.
Mhm.
And a lot of people, especially in this younger generation, you know, they've had enough. And as a young man and as a man and a father of two boys, like growing up for me, we didn't see men deal with mental health.
Mhm.
We've never had the blueprint of
Yeah.
what do I do when I am in a mental crisis. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
Like
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
all we know is judgment. All we know is go work. All we know is go provide. You know what I'm saying? Like that's all we know. We still
Mhm.
we still got to suck it up, go to work, and deal with it. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
we haven't seen men take their place or even know how to talk about the mental struggles that we deal with. You know what I mean? And another thing how I feel about it, this guy was 24 years old. I'm an educator, and so I see mental health issues where they start, and that's
Yeah.
in that school building. And
Mm.
what I notice is all of the kids that are dealing with mental issues, they
Mhm.
put them in what y'all can attest to this one. They put them in what we call a behavior unit. And
Yeah.
Right.
I'm like, it ain't, yes, their behavior is jacked up,
Hmm.
but their behavior is jacked up because of their mental health. Like when you bite an apple and the apple is nasty, the first thing you're gonna look at is the tree that it came from.
Yeah.
So how can you sit and look at these teenagers is what I specialize in, teenage mental health.
Okay.
How can you sit and look at my kids going they running and coming in too, or whatever, but how can you look at the actions of these teenagers
Mhm.
and blame it and make it behavior when it's really their environment, what they're attached to, what's watering them. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And so we just don't have those spaces. Deuce, get out, please. And take champ out.
You know what? A friend of mine who was um who was an officer for Kaufman, and she told me, I guess this was on the news. I stopped watching news like years ago.
Hmm.
So, but she said it was on the news. She said that her partner um had responded to a call at the school or something. And she said when she got there, he was surrounded by. She was like, if there were so many kids there, these like high school kids.
Hmm. Hmm.
And she said, I don't know if he would have made it had I not arrived. She said, personally, I don't think he would have. This was a white male, white police officer in a predominantly black school. And they were out to get his ass. I furthermore, I went into another account of a coworker who ended up being a DISD police officer on her first day. And I'll never forget this because I was so happy for her because that was what she wanted to do. But on her first day at that job, 17-year-old kid pulled out his 9 millimeter gun and pointed it at her head. Okay. He got the gun pointed at her, and she got her gun pointed at him. And I was like, what the hell? This was your first day? She's like, yes, my first day. I was like, friend. Now, mind you, she was in her 20s, beautiful girl. And I was like, Jesus Christ, like, girl, like, how do you, like, are you okay? Because
Right,
are
right,
you okay? Like,
right.
they don't even law enforcement. You are expected, just like these kids, or just like men in that sense, where you're not expected to cry if you bump your knee or something like that. With law enforcement, you're not expected to cry either. You're expected to get right back up and go right back at your job. Or I mean, it's just so many. I mean, it's so many situations, just like the teacher who got shot. who was shot by the 6-year-old. You know what I'm saying? So, where do the 6-year-old get comfortable or think that it's okay that I don't know. I don't know. It just seems like there's no control. There
It's
is
none,
no control.
and it make me sick.
Yeah, it's no
It it
control.
it, it makes me disgusted, and it's like because these are kids and
Yeah,
we're human,
yeah.
and I got my theories, but to the Kyron thing too. I think that was his name, the one that took his life, the cowboy. I don't know if that was his name.
Yeah,
I think I'm
Marshawn
thinking.
Kneeland.
Okay, my bad.
Marshawn Kneeland.
I'm thinking of. I'm
It's
sorry. I'm
just
thinking
so
of
many
the
situations. No, it's
LSU.
okay. It's so
I'm
many
thinking of LSU.
situations. So
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's another thing. The college football player who did take his life too at LSU.
see,
Earlier
same
Yeah,
this year.
situation. Yep.
yeah. It was, man, and it's like once we as black young boys we're taught to grow up going back to the point of not having those men to show us, because I
Hmm.
grew up in a single parent household. My mama was the mama and the daddy. You know what I'm saying? And so we grow up and we turn on the TV and all we see is black people playing football, black
Hmm.
people playing basketball. And so we think that our way out of the hood is to make it to the pros.
Be an
And once
athlete,
we
right?
yeah, and once we make it to the pros, right? Like we still got all of these we got all of this money, but we know what the stigma is: more money, more problems. And
Right.
so now you ain't even really learning how to deal with all of these problems,
Yeah.
but you got money though. Hmm.
What was the player that God Vince Young? I look at his situation and I always I had a son. He's an adult. He's like 30 years old now, and I remember having this conversation with him about Vince Young, and it's I feel like he was like your typical example of where you can feel like you're at the very top, and then things where your expectations are
Oh yeah.
not where they are not. I don't want to say that he failed because I feel like he had to go through what he went through because I think right now he's doing very well. But
Mhm,
he went through some hell. He went through some
mhm,
hell. But he had to be, and it's so sad because this young man, I feel like if he it's not I don't think it was a situation where he didn't have a support system, but I feel like it was a situation where the expectations of him, he wasn't able to what am I trying to say? He wasn't able to like maintain them, so to speak.
Hmm.
And
yeah.
he suffered mentally from that. I remember that. And I was like, man, he was such a good quarterback. I was like, golly. And I was like, man, if he had went in a direction of, being here with it at home, close to home, would it have been different? Would the outcome been different? And I think I always have that conversation with my kids when it comes to expectations. When you think where you are at, and you think you might have like reached the highest, how it can be taken away. But how you can make sure that your mind will always be um, able to handle those things, because it is such a blessing to have clarity, y'all. When you don't
Mhm,
have mental
mhm,
clarity, Jesus Christ,
mhm,
you don't have mental clarity, you are like it's it can just disrupt your whole your whole being, who you are. It will
mhm.
definitely disrupt you. My question for you, Coach, though, what do you think as far as helping children, because you are an educator? What do you think would be a stepping stone to get these kids, from your experience,
Mhm.
help? What is the first step?
Yeah, I think you hit it earlier. The first step in getting these kids help, I think, is just bringing awareness to that mental health issues exist, and we stay in Texas, like so those things just aren't there. I stayed in Colorado for 1 year, and that was the best. I want to go back, and because this, like, the conversation around mental health in Colorado is so different. They talk about it in school. So the
Mhm.
first step is to bring awareness of trauma in the household. Now, and I say a trauma in a teenager, and the two places trauma happens in a teenage life is at home and in church.
Yeah.
And so now we become functioning trauma victims as adults, still dealing with the teenage trauma that goes undealt with because nobody had an awareness
Hmm.
of it. Mental health wasn't even a thing when we was in school. We,
Yeah.
we didn't go to the counselors and talk about our emotions. We talked
Man,
about
you
our
went to counselors just to change your schedule.
exactly.
That was it.
Exactly. And it's still the same way. But now they got a counselor there for support, one counselor for support, and her salary is grant money. So, how are you guys going to pay her salary when this grant money runs up? It's a joke, is what I'm saying.
It
Mental
is.
health in the teenage life, in an educational system, and in church is a big flat joke. And
Yeah.
so people are not aware to what it's doing to our kids until they take their life, and it's so frustrating. It's so irritating because everybody makes it taboo. Everybody makes it so taboo. And I'm sorry, I can't get a closed door around this place. Man, she looking, oh my gosh, you're talking to people? Yes. I'm real life on a podcast right now.
Hey,
She thought I was
I had to convince my grandson that I need private time. So he's like, okay, Granny.
So I guess she thought I was on. I don't know what she thought I was doing, but so I think the first thing is to bring awareness, and that's what I do. I'm an educator, and I've built a business called Coach Williams University that's committed to transforming the lives of teenagers by changing the way that they think. And so I go into school buildings, school systems, churches. I partner with nonprofits to educate the student, the teenager, how to deal with the trauma and to educate the teacher on how to have trauma informed practices in their classroom. Because let's be honest, teachers are real life causing so traumatic things in their classroom, you
Yeah.
know, especially for the
Yes.
black and brown student, you know, and so especially in
Who did
Texas,
that?
so it's like education was meant to be suppressive from the get go for the black student. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We
Yes.
couldn't even get an education. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you think about the suppressive nature of education, like we have to bring awareness. And so that's what I do is I help bring awareness, teaching the teenagers. Look, I ain't the only one, huh? You better open up that door.
I know.
you know, so bringing awareness to the teenagers to answer your question, bringing awareness of how to deal with it, and bringing awareness on how to bring up a generation that has a lot
Right.
of it.
Right. Main thing is I know it's about communication. I know we
Mm,
come from different generation where, I thank God for our parents, but when we used to talk about things, they will raise their voice at us. But then it goes from what they was taught to where now where it causes resentment, where it say, well, I don't want to, what I'm dealing with, I go and tell this to my parents, they gonna yell at me, and then what we go do, we'll go get bad advice from somewhere else.
mhm,
But I'm glad now that in this generation that we're in, we're getting more educated, more knowledgeable now when it comes to these type of conversations. 'Cause these kind of conversations we never had before. But now we're learning more. We're learning more now with the information that we got to be able to communicate these things. And I heard something about safe space. Um, can we trust the people? Can we trust the people that we could find in? That's the thing about it. If I could confide in you and I could find you some deep secret stuff that I'm dealing with, and then you get mad and you throw it in my face, now I said, oh, I can't trust you.
mm,
Yeah.
Because I could find something in you I never could find with no one else. And a lot of people deal with it. So now they're afraid to open up to people. If that makes sense, help me out with that.
No, you're
mhm,
absolutely correct. I recall.
mm,
So I used to supervise at the jail, and I recall one of the subordinates needing a reference. He was going to be a part of the mental health team, I guess. I don't know what they were doing. They were doing something different. And the psychologist there, okay, um, she was recruiting officers. Well, from what this lady was a joke. I would never tell never tell her shit. And I was like, the things that he told me that she said to him, um, and then she came back and she told us. I was like, ma'am, the first thing as a psychiatrist or a counselor is to have some type of confidential morale about yourself. If these people are telling you stuff, they're trusting you. They're they're trusting you enough to make sure that what they are saying to you is keep as that you are supposed to be their safe space. You are
Yes.
supposed to be their safe space, but you're
Yes.
not. But you're not being their safe space. Okay. And I was so disappointed. And I oh no. And he, this person he told me he was like, no, I don't want it. I don't need a reference. I was like, I don't blame you at all. I don't blame you at all. But it's that type of situation right there.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't trust your coworkers, you can't trust some family members, you can't trust some friends, you can't trust the people that they say you can trust, the people that they set up who have these degrees. Who do you trust? How do you become open? Like when a person is burned, they tend not to want to jump back into the damn fire.
Yeah.
They tend to want to, I don't like being burned, so I'm just gonna stay away from it. And I think that is the and you're right, Furman. Having trust, once trust is broken, it is hard.
It's hard to get back.
Yeah, it's hard to get back. Damn near almost impossible sometimes in situations.
Especially if you come from like traumatic. Most kids, this trauma, like 1 in 4 teenagers deal with a trauma. Like, and 60% of teenagers report like adverse childhood experiences. These are like experiences that they don't got no business seeing. You know what I'm saying? So when you think about the weight of that number, of those two separate numbers, we grow up not even trusting the people who brought us into the world.
Yeah.
Like, if I can't trust my mama, if I can't trust my brother, and my daddy ain't there, who the hell am I supposed to trust? And so now I'm relating to music. Now, Rod Wave just got arrested. I don't know if y'all seen that, on some drug and gun charges. You know what I'm saying? But he popular, and all our kids today listen to Rod Wave, especially our kids that are dealing with mental health struggles. This is the guy whom they're listening to. Like, no disrespect, to Rod. I used to love his music before I realized it kept me down.
Yeah, I mean, and that's true. I think a lot of people don't realize that their environment like that, sensory, and I remember learning this year when we had to do your mood changes like the seasons. That is completely true. You said you were in Colorado, right? You lived in Colorado?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see more suicides versus in Colorado? Was it like, do you know the stats on it?
I don't know the stats on how it was in Colorado.
So from the research I have done, and this is just in general, and this goes for environmental. And I mentioned that just because I want to bring awareness to the things around you affect you mentally on an everyday basis. So like people that are in gloomy areas all the time, if you're in darkness all the time, if you're listening to stuff that is not uplifting and negative, you will eventually tend to think that way. It will affect you mentally because even when you think about, and I know it's gonna kind of sound cliche, so to speak, But when we think about like conspiracy theories and how the government uses different tactics to program us, quote unquote, mentally,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
mean, is that a joke? Is it taboo? It's not. Why? Because we see it. We see it on a day-to-day basis. Our kids are listening to this music that promotes violence, that promotes, all this negative shit,
Hmm.
and they are okay with it. That's why they are so susceptible to doing these things in their lives that will negatively impact them, that are toxic. That's why they're like, it's almost so much, because
Hmm.
that is what other people are drawn to. That is what is being talked about. They like the
Hmm.
drama. They like the drama. You know, I know I know people, family members who like that kind of shit, who likes that drama in their life. It's like it almost, I don't know, it's some weird vibe, some weird energy of, it makes them feel alive, but it makes them sad at the same time. Some people want to be sad, and it's, I know it's an oxymoron, but it really is true. So where you have mental health on this side of the spectrum, you have it on this side. It kind of reminds me of people who suffer from Munchausen syndrome, who, I mean, but it's real, because when you talk about mental health, you got to talk about it in whole. You can't just look at it from this or end without, acknowledging, the this side of it.
Hmm.
You have some of those people who want to get help that don't know how to get help. You have some of those people who um, want to get help but want to stay down too,
Hmm.
and don't want any help. You know what I'm saying? And then, I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just, there's no one right answer. Let's put it that way,
Hmm.
because why,
And,
we are all different.
and that's. Go ahead, Furman.
Nah, just go ahead and finish, and then I wanna ask something too, cause I'm gonna put myself out there for the
Man, you
very
go
first
ahead,
time.
bro.
Okay, I'm gonna put myself on out there, and I never did this before, and don't judge me.
Never.
Okay, well, I'm gonna say this. I know I can have anger. I can have some real anger at times, and I would say something. Matter of fact, I told somebody one time that you don't care about me, and they was like, "Firm, what do you want?" And I'm like, "You don't care about me." I always felt like people didn't care about me, if that makes sense, in a way. So I have this wall surrounded around me at times
Hmm.
where I don't want to be. I can love easy. I love hard, but once you do something to me, I hold that in my heart, and I know that's not good.
Wait a minute, what? Hold on, wait, I missed this. What?
No, I said if you do something to me
Hmm.
after I show much love to you, and you do something to me, I will hold that against you.
Mm. Okay. Yeah.
And I feel like my back against the wall, and I can't trust people.
I think that is a natural reaction for most people, though.
Hmm.
I don't think that is a bad thing. I think that is the most natural reaction for literally every human being. Um, and when people feel like their loyalty towards others, when they're loyal to others and others are not, those same people that they are loyal to are not loyal to them in return, they will feel like that. I don't think that is a bad thing
Hmm.
for you to feel that way. I think it's a natural thing. It's
Hmm.
literally a cause and effect. You can't have your yin without the yang. It is very much natural. So it's nothing wrong with that at all. Um,
Like,
how has that affected your relationships though? Like, Furman, like, are you allowing that to, and I'm sorry if I don't put you on the spot. Are you allowing that to affect relationships moving down? Because a lot of people do when they are burned. Remember we talked about that, jumping into that fire. We don't want to jump back into it when they are
Right, right.
burned.
Right.
Do you carry that on? Do you carry that same, resentment and hurt into the next relationship? Now, I think that's not fair to the next person.
No, it's not fair to the next person. And I would say that because you, I'm like this. If I vibe with you, I vibe with you. But if I don't have no peace about you, I keep my distance from you. That makes sense.
Hmm.
Because I remember this pastor back in my hometown, and he shared something. He was sharing this with someone. They call me by my middle name. Maurice is my middle name. So the guy would say, Maurice always want to be respected, but he never got that. And once he don't get that, he shuts himself down. And I noticed that if you don't respect me, I shut myself down completely. I become cold in a way towards you because I'm not getting that respect from you. When I'm giving the respect and I'm not getting it, so I shut myself down completely.
Mm.
Man, I appreciate you for sharing that, bro. I really appreciate you for sharing that. And like, I got some questions too, but before I say that, like, I just want to say anger is normal, bro.
Yeah.
Like, anger is a natural response. It's a natural emotion that a lot of people don't know how to deal with, because we are taught that anger is bad, but Jesus got angry. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it's what you do with that anger that makes it bad, or whatever. Hold on one second. You need something? All right, in a few.
I look. I got this little 5-year-old playing Sonic and everything in the background, keeping up all kind of noise. So I
Yeah,
feel
yeah, yeah. This one is a grown kid that I'm married to, and so my wife.
over there.
so so like anger is normal. It's what you do with it, bro. Like it's the outlet in which you take it out, the reaction. And that's the thing that we hadn't been taught how to deal with. We see people get angry, get drunk, and crash out. You know what I'm saying? And so,
hmm
and then the next thing that I like to say is that, like, the defense that you built up, I'd argue, and I could be wrong, I don't know, bro, but I'd argue, and it's kind of like as a question, like dating it all the way back to your teenage years, what was the number one person who you trusted that hurt you? Because it actually started then.
Yeah.
And that's like it started then. And
hmm
you processing it now is like you kind of seeing it right now is what's happening. You're like, wait. So that's what prompted you to kind of talk about it. But it made you. My question is like, is there somebody whom you trusted very, very much that let you down when you were a kid?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I know. So when I was, I've had to take a lot of psychology courses, and I know a lot of trauma stems. If I'm getting too personal, just say, "Low, shut up." Just move on. Next, it's okay. Hey, I'm your homie. I don't look. Just say hush. Um, but I know from what I've read, and I can attest for myself. Now I can talk about myself. I don't mind. Um, they did say that a lot of our issues that we suffer through now, or a lot of the results of or a lot of results of our personalities stems from trauma that we have received in childhood due to our parents. Um, or someone that is an example of a parental guidance. Do you think that's where it stemmed from? Because I think a lot of mental health issues within our community and just with people in general, it stems from how you are living in your home. That's where it starts. If you don't feel loved, then you're going to accept any type of love. If you do not, I'm going to rephrase that. If you do not receive love that is pure and of innocence, then you're going to look at love from anybody, whether or not it's toxic and you know it's not good for you or it make you feel like shit, you're gonna think it's okay. You know, like if you grow up looking at your mom getting her ass whooped or your dad getting cheated on by your mom, you know, every time you turn around, you're gonna think that that's kind of norm. So the relationship that you get involved with, as you become older, you know, you're gonna be like, okay, it might be acceptable. You will excuse it. You will find an excuse to accept the hurt, the pain, the toxicness of the situation. Herman says it does manifest from childhood into adulthood, and yeah, no, for sure. I think you have to be really strong in who you are, and then learning to change your way of thinking in order to overcome that. You have to choose. You have to make a decision at some point in your life, whether or not it's in your teenage years, your adolescence, your young adulthood, or in your 40s. You know, I'm like you, Furman. You know, I didn't realize. It's so funny. I did a piece in my course that I talked about, and I know those people be like, "Golly, she be getting personal." Yeah, well, okay, so what? I am, but I didn't realize after I read something about my so-called personality that I'm a people pleaser, and I looked at that as very, like, I was so offended. I was like, what? People please? Ain't no goddamn people. I ain't no damn people please. What the fuck is that? And so I was so offended. I'm offended just saying it right now. And so I was like, what? And then I really thought about it. And I was like, you know what? Lo, I think you are. I think you are, because I looked at situations, because I'm so close to my family, and I love my family so much, but I love them too much to where it was hurting me. It was hurting my mental health. It was hurting who I was. And that was my problem. And I associated that people pleasing to that. No matter what kind of fucked up shit that some people in my family did, I excused it and I said it was okay. And I still helped them at the end. You see what I'm saying? So knowing very well, I should have just been like, deuces. Now, after learning that no, I gotta take care of me first. I gotta come first. I know how to make that separation. So, Furman, is that where? Do you think that's where it started in your from you? Was it
from growing up per se?
Yeah.
Well, when you grow up in a household where domestic violence take place on the regular, it affects you as a kid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I remember I was in kindergarten and I kicked the teacher between the legs. It was a woman. I kicked her between the legs.
Well, dang.
But that was anger. And I remember I got in trouble and my dad talked to me about it. And I said something weird. I was like, the devil made me do it. And I was disguised how the devil looked. And I know that may sound crazy, but I said that. And when you grow up, see kind of stuff like that as a child, that kind of stuff affects you as a child. Because I remember I had to go to counseling. I think I wanted to kill myself one time. Because you get tired of your parent arguing all the time, man. You be like, man, it's nowhere to go. I thought about doing that one time. I thought about it. I never did thought about it. I had to go to counseling for that too. So it's the thing I vow to never put myself in a situation. That's why I don't like when people put hands on people. Like, don't put your hands on me. You put your hands on me, I'm gone. I don't come back no more because I've seen what my mom went through.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I'm sorry that has happened to you.
yeah. I appreciate you for sharing that, bro.
Yeah, and it takes
Man,
a lot of strength, Furman.
it does.
Maurice, I'm gonna call you Maurice. It takes a
That's
lot
all.
No,
of strength, Maurice, to
no.
just talk about that. It really does. Thank you. Look, thank you.
Look at
I
you.
think you needed to get that off your chest
Man,
because you know
I
what?
think so too.
Yeah, that look. I'm privileged. Actually, I feel like you shared that, and it's amazing. It's when you share stuff that you don't think that you can, it changes who you are.
It's all about that space,
Yeah.
it does. And that's like the devil did make you do it, bro, because the devil uses trauma.
Yes.
Like the devil uses the tool of trauma to keep you
Mhm.
from becoming who you're meant to be in this world. So
Right.
he
Yeah.
introduces trauma to you at a very early age. So now you will never really see who you're meant to become. And now we
Right.
live struggling lives all because of the tool of trauma that was sent from Satan through your parents. Let's not forget we were slaves in America. We ain't talk about that trauma, So it's like when we think about all of this, bro. I got a principle that I like to call the fruit and the root. Like
Mhm.
people are quick to address the fruit, but they never ask what root the fruit comes from.
Right.
A
Right.
watermelon comes from a vine. You know what I'm saying? An apple comes from the
Mhm.
tree,
Right.
from an apple tree. A pear comes from a pear tree. You can't find an apple on a pear
Right.
tree. It don't get down like that.
No. Mm-mm.
Seeing domestic violence as a kid, bro, that has been pressed down into another level of your brain. I ain't gonna get all scientific on it, but it's the hippocampus and the amygdala in your brain, bro. Your emotions and your prefrontal cortex, how you're wired, bro. And so
Mhm.
now seeing that domestic violence, bro, that has passed through your lightning bolts in your brain, and you express it as anger. But now you think you're angry. You're not angry. You're transferring the energy that you received as a kid. You
Mhm.
see what I'm saying? And so that's all it is. You're not angry. You just
Right.
hadn't dealt with all of the anger that you saw.
Yeah.
And a lot of men, from Kneeland to Cordarius, myself to you, mine is sexual abuse, and
Mm.
physical abuse. That's where I'm growing from, and from family members, both of them. And so it's just like when you process all of this. I grew up thinking that I was gay. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Because of my sexual abuse. But I'm not. I'm not gay. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And so I ran women to prove that I wasn't. But I'm not, you know? Like and so yeah, I just leave that with you, bro.
Right.
I want you
Yeah.
to yeah,
That's an amazing
be
story.
encouraged with that, you know?
But I know because I remember I had a guy on my show a while back. That was on the other show, not this show, but the other show. And he went through that same thing about sexuality and stuff like that. And these are things that we don't talk about either. When it comes to these type of discussion, these are type of discussions we run from and we never really dealt with because we are already judging ourselves already. Oh, I can't tell this person this because they gonna look at me a certain way. They don't want to deal with me. So we already mentally has a judgment on before even we open our mouths.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then especially when it comes to relationships, I heard TDJ say this a long time ago. He said only time when a man opens up to a woman when they become intimate for the very first time and he opens up to her. But then what dogs back is if you get into an argument, she brings back up what you shared with her. Now we go into what is hyper mode, like a bear going into hibernation, so we shut ourselves down.
Mm.
So now it's like, oh, I can't trust you. You probably my best friend, but I share something with you. And you know what? Let me tell you something. And I learned this. I had somebody in my past who had a drug addiction. And when you deal with someone who has a drug addiction, that's hard too in a way. But you can't say nobody. I'm like, you can't say nobody. You gotta want to say yourself. Help me out with this. Because what's like, why you gotta deal with people? I don't know. I may be all over the place today. But dealing with these people, dealing with people in a way, and it's like, I can't save everybody, and I think that's what a lot of times what I do. I be wanting to save everybody, and I can't save everybody. There'll be moments when I be feeling down and out, and but I want to save everybody, but I can't save everybody. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? So that's crazy you mentioned that because I did a study for a class one time. Um, because my oldest son is kind of have that personality. That mind you, I'm so protective of my kids. My kids can't like they haven't experienced any of the trauma that I had to go through. They did not experience any of that. That's how protective of my children I am. And that's why I'm so blessed. I feel so blessed that they have not they don't feel I'm not the type of parent that have they feel I'm blessed that they're able to talk to me, that they're able to
Mm-hmm.
talk to me because that's a blessing within itself.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on one second. No, go over there and sit down. Yeah, go get some water. Uh that's a blessing within itself when they can talk to you because a lot of kids will not talk to their parent. So but my oldest son was a lot like you. And I asked him, I said, I see that you talk to a lot of girls that seem very damaged. Why is that? I want to know why do you talk to a lot of girls that is very damaged? Now this was prior to him meeting his fiance and having a child and all that stuff. This was when he was younger. Um, and he said, "Well, I just feel bad for them, Mama. I want to help them." I said, "You can't do that as a friend. Like, I just
Mm-hmm.
really want to know why. Why are you doing it? Because you're taking on problems and you're still a kid yourself, and you don't know how to solve your own problems. So I'm trying to figure out what is it?" So what I did study was that a lot of the times, well, because I did a lot of interviews, a lot of the times that
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people, and I had to look at myself too because I tend to try to want to help too many
Mm-hmm.
people, which is crazy. I had to like, what are you doing? Like, you
Mm-hmm.
can't save everybody. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? They
Mm-hmm.
got people got to want to help themselves.
Facts.
But people that have experienced trauma in the past like that do that to kind of it's. I feel like it's a way of
Mm.
saving themselves,
Mm.
way to save themselves. You know what I'm saying? If
Mm.
I can help this person, then that kind of can correct what I went through. You know what I'm saying? It can
Mm.
make me feel better about what I went through. But it doesn't because at the end, if you don't get help for what you have gone through,
Yeah.
you never really solve your problem. You don't solve.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So
That's good.
you can play let me play Superwoman or Superman to this person, but if you know Superman still have problems. That's why he always felt like he had to hide his identity too. You see what I'm saying? He had to hide who he was. That's why he hated everything about it. So he couldn't help himself. So I think that's probably why a lot of people with trauma, it's trauma bonding. That's basically what it is. It's trauma
Yeah.
bonding.
But how can you help somebody with that? I mean, when you don't have all the resources, and sex is not the answer. You know,
Mm.
I don't care what it is. And I know I'm putting myself out here on a show, but sex was not the answer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Um, Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I'm just saying that was it. You know what I'm saying? I was thinking
Yeah,
sex
man.
was not the answer,
Mhm.
and you can't change. I don't know. I don't know. I
The
don't know.
best way to heal, bro. I say hurt people, and heal people. Like hurt people because Isaac Newton said energy is exchanged from one place to another, and hurt is an energy, and so when you are hurt, you transfer hurt. Hurt people, and a lot of people don't address their hurt, but they funnel it through another channel. and it's
Yeah.
still what their actions are still a root of their hurt. It's sex, alcohol, you know what I'm saying, weed, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. Those are all outlets. You know, those are all addictions. The phone now those are what you call self coping mechanisms,
Yeah.
and you're using those coping mechanisms to cope with what you dealt with. But the best way to help people is to heal you first,
Yeah.
and because healed
Yeah.
people heal people. You can save people all you want to, but you can't truly save people until you heal yourself first. And
Yeah. Because I didn't.
I used
That is true.
No, go
That's
ahead and
good.
finish.
no,
No, you
I
go
was
ahead. My
about to
bad.
say
Go ahead and finish.
no, it's all good, man. I say this, then I'm gonna have to jet out, y'all. But like I used to be a pastor, you know, when I was like 23, 24, 25. I was pastor of a church, and I stand on stage and talk about the Bible this and the Bible that. You know what I'm saying? Like I was good with it too, but I was still up there trying to heal people, but yet I hadn't dealt with my stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I hadn't dealt with
Mm.
the stuff that I'd gone through. And so essentially I wasn't really saving people because I hadn't saved myself first.
Yeah.
You know, when
Wow.
you on a plane, they say if you traveling with your kids, the first person you put your mask on is yourself. And then you put the mask on other people. So you're gonna have to heal first and then you heal other people.
That's
Do
it. The
you
thing
think
is
that
learning.
go ahead, Vernon. I know you had a question. So
Oh
I want
no, I
to
was gonna
ask you.
say no. They used to learn how to put yourself first. You know,
Mhm.
I never put myself first. I always put myself on the back end,
Mm.
and I always get burnt on the back end. And I'm learning how to put myself first. Learn how to believe in myself. Cause I never believed in myself. I always feel like I was always the underdog growing up. I was not the popular kid and all the other stuff. I always felt like I was the underdog, and I carried it on all the way up to where I'm at now. I always feel like I was the underdog.
Mm. I think it just goes to not just healing yourself, because once you heal yourself, you're going to start believing in yourself, and I think that's just that's just how it is. It's so crazy because I was quite the opposite. I was never not the popular kid. I was the typical kid that had it all, but I had a lot of problems. There was a lot
Mm,
of shit that was going on at home that no one knew. You know what I'm
Hmm.
right.
saying? The physical abuse, like sexual abuse that has happened to me growing up, that fucks with me. And there has not been not one woman that I have met that have not gone through some type of sexual abuse. Literally, I have not met not one woman um, that I just haven't. But you would never think that, oh, you went through that? Yeah, I did. I did. And no one knew anything about it. It wasn't until I got like later down the line, I would say my late 30s is when I started speaking on it. Um, and I think that's where the healing comes from. When you're able to overcome your own trauma, like you said, Coach, when you're able to overcome just your own trauma, your own hurt, that's what, like, you can't help anybody if you're
Yeah,
not,
that's true. I agree.
you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Hmm.
Um, Coach, before you get out, I do want you to let the viewers know. I want to hear about. I know you spoke on it a little bit about what your plans on, as far as helping children or teenagers. Your plans on that. How can we reach out to you? Like if we want, if as the show, if we wanted to come on and video you guys, or you doing your show live at the school, like how do we get in contact with you? If there are kids that needed some type of help, some type of mentorship, we need to know more about you, Coach. So, I think you man, there are some great points that you hit on today. And that is the points that need to be spoken, because it's not spoken enough, especially with these kids these days. They are so easily swayed the other way. Furman and I, at the jail, we have 17-year-old kids up there. I don't know if that might be actually a great idea. If maybe you could, I don't know, reach out to the sheriff's department. it's something that I was trying to do a proposal about as well, to reach out to those kids up there, because I remember a lot of officers would have problems with those 17-year-olds, but I ain't never had no problem with them. I would literally ask them to help clean up and praise them. And when I tell you, their faces would light up, like, oh my Jesus, their faces would light up and they would clean, clean. I was like, and here's this kid in here allegedly being accused of murder or, aggravated robbery, but the smile on their face. And when you think about it, Jesus, just me saying, just giving them praise, it really made me feel sad, because I was like, Jesus, you got these young kids in here. God, if their parents would have put that just a little bit more energy into them, or their community just a little bit more energy in them, would it have made a difference in their lives? So with that being said, Coach, before you go, can you tell us a little bit, how do we get in contact with you and your organization, things that you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Number one, through my website, coachwilliamsu.com. You can see, a little framework of what I do on my site, coachwilliamsu.com. And on there, you'll find all my social media. But you can also find my social media through Coach Williams University on all platforms. And Facebook is just Cordarius Williams. But I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok. You click the link in the bio, it'll take you to all of my social media pages.
Okay.
And so social media is the primary form that you can reach out to me. If you want to have a life coaching session, you can reach out to me on social media, or you can go through my website and book a time, that we can sit. It's free. The consultation is free. We'll sit down. You'll tell me what you want to talk about, what you need mentored in, what you need life coaching in. And, then I'll tell you the program and the cost and the things of that nature on that call. And so that's what I do just personally for mentorship. And once you guys get to my social media, you'll just see that I'm a man on a mission to transform the lives of teenagers by changing the way that they think. And I know we're all adults here for the most part, but we're all dealing with teenage problems that went unaddressed, And so to the teenager listening and to the adults listening, my focus is still the same. It's to heal the teenage version of you. My purpose is to start at the educational. Yeah, appreciate it. My purpose is to start with 12 and 13-year-olds so they can have a better quality of life. However, for those of us that are grown and still want to maximize like the time that we have on her, I know I'm making it to heaven. God, just give me give me heaven on earth. You know what I'm saying? Like, fill my pocketbooks and make my pocketbooks. You understand what I'm saying? Like, let me have a good quality of life. And I believe that healing from your trauma is the fastest way to having to living a good life here on earth. So y'all can find me on my social media, on my website right there, coachwilliamsu.com. And I appreciate you guys for having me on.
Wonderful. Thank you for being on, and thank you. So y'all heard it right there, y'all. Please reach out to Coach right here. I'm sorry. Look, I can't, now that I got Coach in my mind, I can't call you anything else. So y'all please reach out to Coach right here. We want to, once again, thank you for being here. Thank you for giving us a piece of your knowledge. It has been so helpful, just even within this short period of time. I know you're gonna reach the goals that you have set right now. You're gonna have to talk to him after I get on, because he's gonna cry when I tell him. I know, so that's his traumatic. He looking at me, he's so crazy. My grandbaby. But anyway, so no, but thank you so much. Y'all reach out to Coach. Please do so. Join us next Sunday. No, get back. Join us next Sunday, same time. And yes, like I say, thank you once again. I hope that we brought a little bit information out there, made you feel safe. You heard some of our personal stories, and trust and believe me, if we are able to tell you our personal stories, if we're able to tell you our personal stories, then you are strong enough to do it as well. Don't think that telling us or telling someone a piece of your life make you weak, because it does not. So go over there and sit down.
Say hello.
Okay.
Hello.
So
Hello.
What
Hello.
Furman, stop it before I call your mom. Okay, Furman, did you want to say something?
That's it. We summed up. We'll be back here next Sunday, same time, 4:30. Appreciate you, Coach, coming on at a short period of time, of course. And all I gotta say, man, everybody make sure they have a great night. It's gonna be cool tonight, so stay warm up, of course. So.
Yes, because I woke up this morning cold. I was like, the AC on or what? All
Might
right,
get
y'all
too
stay
cold.
warm, y'all, and stay mental health carefree. Okay, let's work
Yeah.
on that. Let's work on that.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Peace.
All right,
Peace.
bye, y'all.
Bye.